Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of English 97. I'm so excited for our class, you guys. You guys have done some really great work in our discussion board so far, and it's been so nice to meet some of you in our conferences. So this video is going to just very quickly go over our assignments for week 2, and then some reminders that I want you to keep in mind. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to take those paragraphs that we wrote in week 1 in our discussion board, and we're going to revise and edit them to kind of improve and not perfect, but sort of just re-look at those, and then we'll turn those in for a final draft this week. And I apologize, I'm still recovering from a cold, so I sound awful. But one thing I noticed in our quizzes from week 1 was that there was maybe a little confusion as to what the portfolio is. So in week 1, our readings talked about that writing process where you think about your idea in that invention stage, you draft, kind of get something on paper, and then in your revision and editing stages, you sort of fix it and make it better. So what we're going to do is write this paragraph we're working on, and then we're going to write 3 essays this semester, and we're going to work on this revision process, kind of re-looking at them, making them better, improving them for our final portfolio. So our final portfolio will be 2 of those essays, and then a cover letter introducing you and your writing. So we won't aim for perfection in these, but the process of revising can just help you to kind of improve and develop yourself more as a writer. So this week, got a few assignments that I'd like you to work on, and very similar from week 1. We've got some readings, Use What Works Chapter 3, there's a TED Talk video, and then a very quick website that explains what makes a good sentence. When I talked to some of you in our conferences, I know there was maybe some anxiety about being able to edit well, and that's something that is okay at this point. Like if you're like, oh man, I suck at spelling and I can't use punctuation well, that's okay. This is a resource that I hope will help. There will be a very short quiz on the Use What Works right reading, and then we'll have a discussion board, and you'll turn in your paragraph final draft. The discussion board and the quiz will be due Thursday, and then your paragraph final draft will be due next Monday. All right. So these are the writing stages from our reading last week. We talked about invention, drafting, revision, and editing. And remember, these can kind of go out of order as you need. But right now, we've kind of completed the invention stage, which was like making a list of your paragraph ideas. And then we've done the drafting, where you just write what you think. All right, that's in our discussion board. So we are now at the revision and the editing stage. And this is the process we're going to go through for each of our essays too. But it'll take longer for an essay, obviously. So, excuse me. Okay, so revision is all about kind of looking at the idea that you've written down. So I've got the assignment here, which is part of revision. You want to ask yourself, okay, am I answering this assignment? So this was the student example from last week. I'm going to read through this, and then we're going to kind of ask ourselves, is this answering the assignment? So this person talked about reading and writing. They said, I've always thought that if one was a good reader, they would automatically be a good writer as well. I, on the other hand, proved to myself this was not true. I can read all day long and not struggle one bit, or even get the slight bit confused. Reading always makes sense to me. Reading takes me to a whole other world. Writing has the opposite effect on me. I struggle to even come up with one sentence to write. I feel as though I can't make a story make sense, and I not only confuse the readers, but I confuse myself as well. I found that good readers aren't always good writers. So then I'm going to revisit the assignment. It says, in one paragraph, I want you to describe yourself as a student, or how you feel about school and college. So this paragraph's about reading and writing, which is important to college, but maybe it doesn't tell me as much about this person as a student. So I might encourage them to maybe talk about one of the classes that they're taking, or how this applies to specifically their classes while they revise. So I've also got maybe some other idea details we could either add or take out. So this process of adding things, the things in bold, being a college student involves a lot of reading and writing. That's added, and then anything that has a line through it, that's something I chose to take out. So I might encourage this writer to maybe start with something that connects to college, to them as a student. so I said maybe add being a college student involves a lot of reading and writing. And that's very true. And then at the end, I thought, okay, maybe we could come back to that idea of school. And I added, if school was only about reading, I would always get an A+. Writing, not so much. So these things really just help to kind of focus a little bit more on the assignment. And then the other ideas that I wanted to add were really just to make this a little clearer. But the point here, though, is that like when you revise, you can add things in, you can move things around, and you can also take things out. I know some people are like, oh no, I don't want to delete it because it took so long. And then some people delete way too much. You know, if you're one of those people that you get 5 sentences down and then you delete the whole thing and start over, you don't want to do either of those things. Sometimes, I know it can be difficult to rework what you've written, but that's really the work of getting better at writing, all right? So I always advise that you read your writing out loud, all right? And that way you can hear some of the things that you might want to add or remove, all right? And then once you've kind of done this process, I know it'll be messy, it won't be perfect, that's okay. What you're going to do is think about editing. So editing is more about checking your sentence structure, word choice, those smaller fixes. So commas, punctuation, which I know some of you were like, oh no, I'm bad at that. That's okay. So when I read this out loud, I don't notice a lot of mistakes, really. But a couple things I noticed that your computer also might catch if you're typing in a Word document or you use a spelling and grammar check. They did misspell affect here. They actually want the effect. Affect is the verb. Then where they say, I struggle to even come up with a sentence to write, that sounds a little informal to me. So I might say, I struggle to produce sentences. I struggle to maybe think of something good to write. That's just me personally, though. And then something else I noticed, they said, where is it? Oh, no, see, I've lost him. But editing is really just these smaller fixes. So if you feel like you're not great at the editing part, that's totally fine. All right, we're going to kind of get better at this as we go. And your reading this week, I hope, will help sort of remind you of some tips there. So what makes a good sentence reading has a couple exercises, one of them on fragments, which are incomplete sentences. Like, for example, number 1 here says, working without taking a break. We try to get as much work done as we can in an hour. This working without taking a break, is actually a sentence fragment. It's missing a subject. So to fix that, what I might do actually is put a comma here and then not capitalize this we. So working without taking a break, comma, we try to get as much work done as we can in an hour. That is actually your full sentence. This is a very common mistake I see and one that we'll keep working on. The other big mistake I often see is run-on sentences. So these are ones where all of your ideas get really smushed together and aren't separated by periods. So for example, let's look at number 2 here. Anna tried getting a reservation at the restaurant, but when she called, they said that there was a waiting list, so she put our names down on the list when the day of her reservation arrived. We only had to wait 30 minutes because a table opened up unexpectedly, which was good because we were able to catch a movie after dinner, and at the time we expected to wait to be seated. You can tell I ran out of breath there. This is where reading out loud really helps. So here, take it sentence by sentence. Anna tried getting a reservation at the restaurant, but when she called, they said that there was a waiting list. Full stop. So I'm going to put a period here. So, comma, she put our names down on the list. Period. When the day of our reservation arrived, comma, we only had to wait 30 minutes because a table opened up unexpectedly. Period. This which, I might need to change. But you get the idea that what you want to do is actually slow down. And when you have a full thought, period. Next full thought, period. This is also one of those mistakes I see very often and one that we will keep working on, okay? So we'll come back to these examples, but if you're like, oh man, I know I have a lot of those run-ons, maybe start noticing them now. Okay, and then the last thing I want you guys to do this week, once you've revised your paragraph is to turn in its final draft. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste from our discussion board into a Word document. You're going to add an MLA header to it, and then you're going to submit this on Blackboard. So I'm actually going to show you where that's at. So if you go under Essays and Assignments, Paragraph, you're going to scroll down for our week 2 stuff. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so here's the readings, discussion board, and then your paragraph final draft. So here is where you are going to submit your final draft. What I want you to do is download this template. It's a Word document. All right, remember to click Enable Editing so you can make changes. All right, and here you're just going to fill in your information. All right, your name, my name, ENG97, the date. You're going to give it a title, and then here is where I want you to copy and paste your paragraph. So if I go to my discussion board, and let's say I'll just pick one of these. I'll pick Andre's here. Okay. So if I'm Andre and I want to copy and paste this over, I'm just going to highlight all of it, and then I can right click, copy. I can go back to my document, right click, and paste. All right. So now here I have my paragraph in the document. All right. And once Andre makes changes to his writing, then he's going to go to save this. You might want to rename it as paragraph final draft. All right, now it's saved. And if I click on the title of the paragraph assignment, you'll see here are the directions. What I'm going to do is go to Browse Local Files. I'm going to find that final draft. And you'll see it'll attach here, and then I'm going to click Submit. All right, if all of that seemed confusing, don't worry. I also uploaded a video here on how to submit, okay? So if you do have problems with getting your paragraph to the document, please let me know. I know some of you are like, oh, I'm not tech savvy. That's okay, all right? You'll be fine. This is just to kind of get you comfortable with submitting, all right? So thank you guys. I am looking forward to talking to you more during conferences if I haven't met you yet, and then also in our discussion board. So I will talk to you soon.